Trauma isn't only car accidents or war. Most people I see don't come in for big T traumas, they come in for relational trauma.
That's Dr. Bessel van de Kolk, one of the world's leading trauma researchers. And I love how clearly he said this, because it's exactly what I see with clients every day. Not one big event, but the small relational moments that leave the deepest marks. Relational trauma is a break in our connection with others. Those times we don't feel seen, heard, or supported. Like so many people, Chris and Noelle didn't walk in saying, "I have trauma." For Chris, it showed up as guilt and people-pleasing. For Noelle, it was the anxiety of waiting for her boyfriend's calls. What if those unexplained reactions are echoes of hidden relational trauma? As we explore Chris and Noelle's stories, I'll also share some of the common signs, the ways relational trauma can sneak into everyday life. When we started, Chris was multitasking in his kitchen. Strong, confident, the last person you'd expect to break down over childhood pain. He laughed as he stirred eggs, half joking that,
"This isn't therapy material,"
until his chest said otherwise.
"I don't think I really had childhood trauma. Mine was from my marriage."
And within 10 minutes, he found himself in tears over something he never imagined would stir us. I asked, "Would you be open to a little experiment together?" The practice was simple. I suggested he walk toward and away from the camera, noticing where his body said stop.
I feel it in my chest, almost like a barrier.
That's where his body was saying no. Not in words, but in sensation. Think of it like magnets. When they get too close, you can feel the push or pull even before they touch. Our nervous system works the same way, carrying an invisible boundary field. I asked him to notice that force field feeling in his chest and consider what it would be like to use the same gauge for his emotional space. As he stayed with that sensation, it carried him somewhere he hadn't thought about in years.
I used to get picked on a lot in middle school. The more I tried to stand up for myself, the worse it got. I just remember being the laughingstock. I felt so small, like no matter what I did, it was me.
Holding down old emotions is like holding a beach ball underwater. You can force it down, but the pressure builds until it bursts back up. What makes something traumatic isn't how big it looks from the outside. It's whether your system felt overwhelmed and powerless at the time. And if deep down you believe you're the problem, never enough, then of course your body's defense becomes people-pleasing, putting everyone else's needs first. That's how Chris survived for decades. Maybe you felt that too, saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no. Why does something from 6th grade still hit like a ton of bricks decades later? I guided Chris to imagine stepping out of the hallway and onto Mission Beach, the one place from his childhood that always felt safe. We brought in his adult self, finally offering the words he needed all along.
It wasn't you, you're fine.
When we revisit a memory while safe, the brain behaves like a GPS at a roadblock. It recalculates, creating a new route so the same trigger no longer has to end in panic. When we pair danger with a felt sense of safety, the amygdala retags it. The memory reshapes like a puzzle piece that no longer fits. The brain has to adapt, creating a new response. The belief of "I'm the problem" had been locked in place, running underneath Chris's awareness. Because that 6-year-old part of him never got resolution, every reminder still felt raw, like being bullied all over again, even decades later. The shift came when we brought in the support that had been missing all along. On Mission Beach, Chris's adult self finally stood beside his younger self, offering the safety and protection he never had back then. And that's the key with relational trauma. It isn't only the event, it's the lack of support. When support is restored, the wound can finally move and heal.
This session made me realize it wasn't me. For the first time, I felt empathy for myself.
On the surface, Chris's struggle showed up as people-pleasing. For Noelle, it was the anxious wait by the phone, her whole life on pause. So many of us can relate to this, that constant need for reassurance, even when we know nothing's wrong. On the surface, they look different. Underneath, they both trace back to relational trauma. Chris's exploration uncovered long-forgotten bullying. Noelle's revealed a childhood fear no one soothed. Noelle was successful and independent, but when her boyfriend didn't call, she put her whole life on hold.
It's like falling between two cliffs in my stomach. I know logically nothing's wrong. He always calls.
Yet her nervous system was constantly triggered, like a car alarm stuck on high alert. I asked if she could trace that feeling back to when her body first experienced it.
I feel silly saying this, but one morning it was raining and I was afraid to go to school. I thought it might flood, like Noah's Ark.
Her first impulse was to laugh it off, but her body knew this was serious. For a 6-year-old, that fear was huge, and no one comforted her. That's what made it traumatic. Not the rain, but facing it alone. It's like trying to fit a gallon of fear into a teacup. Adults can hold more. At 6, we depend on others. Without support, even a small fear overflows. In session, we gave the memory what it never had: safety. Noelle imagined telling her parents, and in her mind, they held and reassured her. She felt it as warmth moving through her body, slowly melting those cliffs of fear.
I think I feel hope, like I can overcome this.
When the body replays a memory with support, it's like swapping goggles. The scene stays the same, but the feeling changes.
Connection is the key with relational trauma. Even years later, the safety you missed can still heal you now. Maybe you're wondering, how do I know if I carry relational trauma? It often appears in everyday ways. People-pleasing, anxiety in relationships, trouble setting boundaries, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's when your reaction doesn't match the situation. Those times, your body responds before your brain can catch up. Chris thought his people-pleasing was just his personality. Noelle thought her phone anxiety was simply overthinking. But both were the body holding on to a moment when they didn't have support. And that's the piece we often miss. Trauma isn't only about what happened. It's about what happened when no one was there to help carry it. We evolved as herd animals, safety in numbers. The nervous system is always asking one question: am I safe or am I alone? And when no one is there to help hold the overwhelm, our body encodes it as danger. When that missing care is restored, even years later, the body stops bracing for the past. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Relational trauma hides in everyday reactions, but healing is possible because with the right support, your body can change the story. If it feels like you're still trapped in the past, you don't have to stay there. Your body can feel safe again, and I'd love to explore what's possible for you. You'll find the link below to book a free consultation. Remember, your body is always communicating with you. All we need to do is pause and listen.